All right, we are live. Canada Throws Podcast, Season 2, Episode 9. We took last week off so we could bring you a banger of a show this week. We have, we had a bit of a lull in the schedule with big events. The start of the season was pretty top heavy, lots of opens, lots of provincial events. But last couple of months, I guess, month and a half, have been a bit light. Lots of regionals. I think one thing we can definitely say is when the big events aren't there, us regional directors definitely see our registrations go up. March was the biggest month for regional registrations in Ontario so far, so that's one positive for us, I guess, Rammer.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lull in the schedule here, but looking ahead here, looks like some of the places are going to start running their provincial events. We have the Open in St. John's coming up here at the end of May, and then, before we know it, it's going to be rolling into nationals. So looks like the end of the season picks up a little bit with all the provincial events and one more Open, and then we have nationals.
Yeah, there's lots of provincial events. So we have this weekend coming, Newfoundland and Labrador have their provincial championships. 2 weeks after that, ACL Quebec is running theirs. 2 weeks after that, the ACQ, which is the local provincial league in Quebec, they're running theirs. And then ours is mid-June, just 2 weeks after Newfoundland. Talking to Aaron Giroux out west, he's definitely trying to plan something, so hopefully we get a Alberta provincial in there as well.
Yeah, it's that time of the year where we got to start, getting those final events in, especially the big events. I'm sure a lot of the players are at this point looking forward to it. Realistically, too, you start to see some of the leagues kind of slow down for the summer as well, right? So some even, stop running for the summer break. So it's definitely a rush to get in those final events. We're a little bit more spread out here in Ontario as we don't run till June for our provincial, but it's not surprising to see some of the other provinces get their provincials in here now with a little break in the schedule.
Yeah, my first year playing, I think, that was your first year as well. We had our provincials in June as well, and same venue.
Yeah.
In Stroud, and I mean that was a great event.
Yeah, I like going to Stroud.
Yeah, me too.
It's a nice tight little venue. You're close to Barrie, so you have access to accommodations and food spots, and then the beach is right there too. So playing in Stroud's a nice little spot to play.
Yeah, no, it's a good spot, and the guy that runs the ice maker there, Jason. I mean, he runs the league out of there.
Yeah.
All year long. So I mean, definitely a pro cornhole group, which is those are the kind of venues we need, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's been good. Stroud's been good.
So over the last, last time we talked was 2 weeks ago. So over the last few weekends, there's been a number of regionals. I guess if we go back 2 weeks, Garden City had theirs. There was one in Gatineau. Dirty Birds had theirs, which the Dirty Birds regional was. I didn't double check with one other event. John might have had a bigger event earlier in the season, but it's between John and Daryl have had the largest regional of the year for singles and doubles teams. Matt held that one in Hamilton, also about 3. Yeah, it was pretty big too. But I love seeing the high registrations this time of year. In the past, you're getting down to this time and it starts to peter off a little bit. I know even my April regional, I've already passed the numbers. I'm 2 weeks out. I've already passed the numbers from my April regional last year. So that makes me pretty happy. I saw you post today too that you've sold out novice, intermediate singles.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet.
It's a little bit of a different feel, I think. I think in years previous, honestly, this is when people start chasing points for that top 100.
Sure.
I don't necessarily think we're going to see that. I think that a lot of places now offer all 4 divisions. So I think that players are able to play in, in the division that they're supposed to be, in the division that gives them competitive games and a competitive tournament. So yeah, it's been good to see registration stay up. I know for us, it's good to see it. Like just like you said, this is normally when we would start to see a little bit of a dip in our registration, but so far for our April event, it's looking pretty good. And then seeing Dirty Birds had a good one, and then Nomad had a nice crowd too. So
yeah, and I think John has one this weekend coming up. Are you playing?
no, I have a fundraiser on Saturday for a slow pitch team.
Oh, right, I saw that. Yeah, so I mean, I think John was saying his registrations are looking good for that too. So as we're heading into the late months, it's nice to see those registrations pick up a bit. We were definitely down overall for regional registrations early in the season. Locally, all of our leagues were way up, but as far as regionals go, down. So maybe that'll pick up now.
Yeah,
There's
I think
been a lot of.
it's been busy. Like it's been busy with the opens and the people getting in some of their first conferences, and you're just coming off. We're not too far away from like Christmas time and that sort of thing too. So I might stay a little more steady than it has in previous years, which will be nice to see. So hopefully that's the case.
Yeah, it was tough around Christmas, eh? I mean, because we had Niagara Falls. I mean, it was pretty early in the month, but at the same time, you have Niagara Falls and you have Christmas, and then we had our first provincial 2 weeks after or 3 weeks after Christmas.
And then you're going to Drummondville, right? Like
a month after, yeah. It's hard to afford. I mean, it's hard to afford everything.
Yeah, like it just was a lot of cornhole in a short period of time with like a big, like a big family events at Christmas time too. So, yeah, I think that maybe the numbers will stay pretty steady here. Hopefully, we can close out the season pretty strong here all the way across Canada.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Alberta's planning something for May, regional wise, maybe late April. Talking to Trevor out west, and he's also trying to get a regional organized for end of April, perhaps. He's just having a bit of venue problems living in Victoria. I don't think anything is too cheap, so he's looking at a few other options. I mean, their player base too isn't very big right now, right? Just starting up. They have maybe 30, 40 guys that would be attending. So it's just trying to, not exactly the easiest place to get to either, right? From the mainland. I mean, you got to take a ferry to get across. Like,
yeah,
there has to be a bit of a commitment. It's not just a quick drive. And then out east, I know BJ in Nova Scotia, he definitely wants to try to get a regional going there this season as well. And Colin Doyle, who is the local director in Manitoba, he's running one more local tournament, which will be April 19th, and then they're going to shut down for the season. I mean, a lot of places, I shut down for the summer. I mean, a lot of places do. It's nice to have a break sometimes from the sport. It's also when the weather's nice. I like playing outside. I know you hate playing outside, but I like playing outside.
Yeah, I think just in general, for the most part, like realistically, all the directors do have a cost. When we run facilities to run leagues and run tournaments, there's a cost associated with that. So if you're losing players because of slow pitch, soccer, kids activities, you can go down the list there. It makes it hard to be able to run a league and be able to pay your bills at the same time. So yeah, definitely. There's a few around us that dwindle down and close up for the summer, but there's a few that keep going. So hopefully the players that want to play can keep getting out and throwing some bags.
Yeah, and we had a lot of players throwing bags this month, and there's been a lot of good performances. I mean, we'll start in Garden City, and Geoff Culbert had himself a day again. Won singles. He's won quite a few events this season, and a lot of them recently. Keeps racking up the wins. He's playing in my regional in 2 weeks. Hopefully he cools down by then. Might have to get someone in the Niagara region to ice him.
Yeah.
So I can get past him easier. But yeah, and then out in Wallaceburg, how far away is Wallaceburg? Is Wallaceburg like in between Chatham and Windsor?
Chatham's, so I live basically on the 401, and then Chatham's like halfway between like London and Windsor, but Wallaceburg is north of that. It's up near like going towards like Grand Bend, going towards Lake Huron.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they have that facility that they use there, that Par 72.
Yep.
They've been running their regionals out of there. So they had wanted to touch on Hannah Lucio, who's Ty's sister, Daryl's daughter, and she won novice singles and then immediately got bumped up to intermediate. And then her and Vivian finished second in comp doubles, which was a great performance by them. They played fantastic all day. I wrote these down a while ago so I wouldn't forget, because I think that's from 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
But I know I was watching some of those brackets, and they played great all day. I think some Americans came in and took the open division.
Yeah, I think Joe.
Tim and Joe, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, looks like Hannah's been playing well for a while now. See her quite a bit on the podium, even when they're posting their league and at their regionals too. And we definitely touched on Vivian before being a really strong player for the juniors. And at this point, it's kind of, maybe it's not even just juniors. Maybe both these ladies are just strong players at this point. Going to make their marks here soon. So hopefully we can see them out at one of the big events. I know Vivian played in Niagara Falls with her dad, I believe, in doubles. But I'm not sure if, I know that there's a crew from Dirty Birds going out to the St. John's. I'm not sure if Hannah will be part of that or not, but it'd be good to see them up on a bigger stage, being able to play some larger events and see where they stack up in the division.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Hannah was pretty much a mainstay of the podium pictures there for a while for both those leagues. I think she won about 4 weeks in a row. So I definitely like to see how she stacks up against some other players from around the province.
Yeah, so like I said, hopefully we can get them out to one of the larger events here and see how they stack up in the division they're playing in.
Awesome. And then we had Alin Ladisseur went to Cornhole Gatineau. Pretty sure Uncle Steve had to work. It was a Saturday tournament. Sometimes he's got to put that extra work in on the weekends. So Alin was playing with Vanden Dam, and Paul played great too. But Alin, I was looking at some of the games she had, and she played incredibly well all day long.
Yeah, Alin, I think when cornhole really started getting going, Alin and Steve are some of the higher end players when we first got going, like with Foley going here, and especially in Ontario, and they've been around and they've traveled around. So like Alin's, she's definitely won a lot of games and lots of tournaments before, but I think that maybe that weekend there looked like she kind of found another gear and got the job done.
Yeah, she had a bunch of games in the high nines. Paul was playing steady, but a bunch of those games, Alin definitely carried them to the win. They took down the open singles there. I think last time she played with Paul,
did they win also? But I think Paul won singles maybe.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, and then I think it was maybe 2 weekends ago an ACQ regional.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, same idea. Alin's been playing great the last couple months, or even maybe the last month. So be interested to see if she can keep that going into the final stretch of the season. I did a bit of a exercise because, as you know, I'm trying to make that push to become a pro next year. So I every month I go and see where I'm at, and I'm not there yet, but I'm only 25 points away, so that's good news. But if the season were to end today, Alin would get her card back, as well as a bunch of the ladies. One new lady on the list would be Amanda's mom, Kim. So just a little interesting fact there.
Okay. Where am I on that list? Do you want my spot?
No, you're good. You're third. You're good right now.
I know, but do you want my spot?
Like, it doesn't work that way.
You can buy it. I'll sell it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, right now you're sandwiched in between Geoff Walsh and Steve Pohl.
Okay. I'll start winning some games.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm 25 points out, but I have some points on the table there, so we'll see what I can, as long as I don't shit the bed the last 2 events. And I'm not. I mean, I could use a boost in my singles points.
Me too.
But I'm not going to play singles in Newfoundland because I'm going to hang out with the fam. So that's a risk I'm willing to take.
I'm only going to end up playing singles in one open.
Yeah,
they got
2
hurt
for me.
I did good in Calgary, so I guess that's what I'm stuck with.
Oh yeah, if you had a good singles, you probably don't have to worry too much, right?
I don't know what I would have been in singles there, 17 to 24.
Oh, you're all right then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're laughing. Oh no, really where you are, it's so interesting. I mean, I find this really interesting, but it's like you get slotted into these spots and you look who's ahead of you, and then you look at the pro standings, because I mean, to be honest with you, most of the people in the top 16 of the pro standings are not at the top of the regular standings right now, and it's guys that have just live in provinces maybe where they don't play a whole lot of ACL, and guys that travel for work like Dion Kuza that don't get to play all the events to get those points.
Yeah.
And guys that don't have regionals to play every month, like the Alberta boys. I mean, all the Alberta boys are there in the top 16. You know, a bunch of Quebecers, Sam and Will, Carl. So it's an interesting list, that how having a good event could bump somebody that is in the top of the standings into the top 16, and that person wouldn't requalify, because that really is their only path, is requalifying through those pro standings. Where someone like Nyan, so Nyan's sitting 17th right now, and but if he was to propel himself into that top 16, he could drop someone like Jocelyn Poudret, who's not going to qualify through open points, but Nyan does qualify through the open points. It's going to be real interesting how that part shakes down. I know I got off topic a little bit here, but it's going to be real interesting how that part shakes down, right after Ottawa, because those games are going to be so important for these guys, just jostling for that a few points just to get ahead of the next guy to try to get that spot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how that all breaks down, like you said. Some players might not necessarily have the option to qualify in open points, and some do. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, and how we get to next season. But Geoff Waterman needs 25 points. That's what I got.
25 points. Yeah, and I only have tier 3 open doubles right now. 2 of them with me and Jude. Well, 3 of them. Yeah.
You better get an upgrade here.
Yeah, I'm playing with Mitch in Newfoundland. I hope me abandoning my son doesn't backfire.
This is always a way. Extra pound of wings.
My loyalty to my son. Well, I asked him. I'm like, because he's gonna play with Frankie King. I said, you want to play? Or he's playing with Frankie King at Provincial, but he's playing with Mason in Newfoundland. So I mean, he's pretty. There was no issues with that at all. That'll be fun to watch. Hopefully
that works out then. Yeah, that works out.
Hopefully we don't have to play them.
Game 1.
Yeah. 0-1. And then this past weekend, there was the Cornhole Newfoundland Regional. So they had their regional last weekend. They have their provincial event this weekend. And I mean, it's the regular guys, right? We got Dion taking it down. He beat Derek, both of them in the 9s. Andrew Spencer finished 3rd. Andrew and Derek took down doubles. I think Dion and Albert finished 4th, actually, but Billy Norman, Matt Mearns finished 2nd. I mean, it's the cream always rises to the top in Newfoundland.
Yeah, seems like they got their crop of top level players that always seem to come out on on top in those regionals and some of their bigger events out there. Yeah, like you said, I think it's just the top players of the top players sometimes, and that seems to be the case most times out in Newfoundland.
Yeah, and so going over, I was talking to Sean this week, and he got me the list of teams, and obviously, pretty decent lineup. I mean, it's obviously a bit of a smaller provincial event, being the whole island only has 500,000 people. It's not like playing in Ontario where there's 14 million people to pull from. But I think they had about 34. Was there about 30 teams on there?
Yeah,
35?
in and around there. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and they break their teams down. Sean and Amber have done a great job of kind of keeping the balance there. They'll have their own PPR standards for the island for all 5 divisions, so that new players have a place to slot in right away. They also have like a combined PPR for doubles, so a experienced player could play with a new player, and maybe they'd be playing comp. They wouldn't have to play up to advanced or whatever. Give them a chance, gives more people a chance to win, kind of across the board. But the big names stood out for me. First off, Derek Barrett's away at work, so he won't be a factor next weekend.
Who cares?
Yeah, who cares is right. So Andrew Spencer is going to be playing with Matt.
Yeah, that's a good team.
Yeah, and Sean is playing with Dion, because Albert has a bit of a sore shoulder, so Sean and Dion are going to go at it. And Andrew and Matt. And I'm going to be completely honest, we like giving Andrew a hard time, but he is absolutely playing lights out right now. His like statistically, he's right up around 10 in all of his past events over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, he's been a good player for a while. A top player out there for sure. This year he got to play gets to play in the pro field. And I think one of the biggest advantages of that is getting yourself to play in like those high pressure games all the time. Yeah. Where some of those players might not always feel that unless they get to a semifinal at a regional or a final at a regional. But having the players on the pro tour this year, like every game is a pressure situation, especially in singles when it's a single limb stack, right? So like we just talked about with the requalifying, like every point matters in that pro singles event. So I think probably something like that has helped Andrew. And he plays a lot. Like it.
Yeah, he does.
He puts the work in, so he deserves to have good results. So it's good to see him, getting those results now.
He'll actually be in KW on Monday for the last singles night. He's in Ontario for the week for work, I think. So headed down there. If anyone wants to go beat up on him, they can head down to KW for the last single night. And which is also a great night of cornhole, because there's not too many places you can go to play singles.
Yeah.
So Matt has run that throughout the winter months, and that's the last week. But yeah, go down there, beat up on Andrew, put him back down a couple pegs. We'll see how he does this weekend.
Yeah.
I think those are really the top 2 teams we're looking at right now in that field. But if I was to pick a bit of a wild card, I'm going to go with Kim and Doreen. I think Doreen kind of showed everyone who she was last year during the CCF Team Canada qualifier. She had a great run. I think she missed out on it by 2 spots, I think. And represented Canada in the Canada USA exhibition at Worlds last year in Rock Hill. On ESPN Plus, she played with the likes of Daniel Faulkner, Paul and Connor, Lana and Crystal.
I don't
Who was
remember.
there for the women? I forget. Lana, Crystal. Demi was there. No. I forget.
Me too.
I know Lana played singles against Cheyenne.
Amanda Oakley?
Maybe.
I think so.
Yes, Amanda Oakley, Doreen. I remember Paul and Connor were so close to beating Justin and what's his face? Chamberlain. It was oh man. I was sweating there because they were playing so good, right? And we're just like, oh my god, we definitely had a chance. They were on fire. And those boys just kind of put it on the next level and
they almost got her done.
Yeah, they almost got her done. Next time.
But
yeah, no, I'm gonna take Kim Oakley and Doreen Pond kind of as my wild card team for the weekend. What are you thinking?
I think it's the same two teams that you just mentioned. Dion's team there with Sean and then Matt and Andrew. I like to maybe see how the girls do. Val and Amanda.
Yeah. Amanda's been playing fantastic lately.
Yeah. So I'd like to see where they end up in doubles. Could they maybe knock off one of those top two teams that we just mentioned, or the top two teams that we see in our eyes right now? It's very possible, but I like to maybe see it get done.
Yeah, no, I think they could. I definitely think they could. I mean, there's a lot of players in Newfoundland across the board that can have great stretches of super high PPR games and some upsets. I mean, we haven't even mentioned, Graham and Glenn.
Yeah.
They've won an event this year. They were both just on that day and beat everybody.
Yeah, like there's a couple players out there for sure that we sometimes don't get the chance to talk about, but two guys you mentioned there for sure. I think sometimes when I look at the events out there, like we said, the top normally rises to the top out there.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I like to see who's coming up.
Yeah.
In some of those areas, like who's coming up out of some of those other divisions. So I'll follow along and see who wins those open divisions. But I like to see who's going to come up in maybe in advance and see if there's someone else going to be stepping up into that open division.
Yeah, I know Zach. Zach is definitely one of those guys, right?
Yeah.
We saw him. You didn't, but he came to Drummondville. He definitely has aspirations of being an ACL Canada Pro one day. And I saw that he was playing open singles. So I'm interested to see how he does playing with the big boys. I think this is his first step up from advanced, definitely at this level. So it'll be interesting to see how he does.
I wrote a couple teams down, I think, from advance or some players.
Yeah, let's see it. Yeah,
Wayne King. He qualified in the pro qualifier in Calgary.
Yeah, before.
He did. Amanda's husband, Mark, looks like he's been playing pretty good. He's played in a lot of big events. Like, again, if you're looking for that experience, he's felt the pressure cooker before. He's been at Nationals. He's been at the Open.
Yes.
He's been at Kayla Norman. She's kind of been pretty solid out there. I've seen her PPR. It looks like she's thrown the bag pretty well. Yeah. Glenn. I mean, I don't know if Glenn's an open or advanced, but Glenn out there, Graham, I think they're both in open.
Yeah, I think they're playing open doubles and then they're playing advanced singles. I'm pretty sure. I can't bring that picture. Oh, I can probably bring it up right now. Yeah, no, there's definitely. I mean, there's a lot of really good players there, right? There are a lot of guys. Corey James is another one who could go on a bit of a run.
Yeah.
And have a chance of podiuming.
Yeah, just
and with Derek Barrett away too. I mean, it definitely leaves that other spot open. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see who comes up, and like we said, who takes that next step out there. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see it. I'll be following along this weekend for sure.
Yeah, so Glenn's playing advanced. Another one in advanced is Ashley Murphy. She was Zach's partner. Yeah, has been.
Yeah, I think
another great player.
She might have got some wins in Calgary, and she's played like every time we've gone out to St. John. She's like her and Matt have both been playing. So
yeah,
again, another player that's been around in play tournaments and played at the Opens, and I just really think that some of that's starting to come into play. the players that have traveled and played some of these bigger games and been in these bigger moments are really starting to see the payoff from it. Whereas some of these people that maybe just play a regional here and there, they don't have the experience of, being in those big pressure games, or I don't know. I just noticed it a lot at some of the regionals I've been to this year, where I feel like it's a lot of wins at a lot of levels are coming from players that have traveled. I don't know if it's just me seeing that or if someone else has noticed that. Just this is my train of thought on it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so there could be two things there, right? There could be the traveling player is going to play more, so they're, more in tuned, or that playing the big events has set them up for success at the smaller regional because you might not feel as much pressure. And I think both are probably fair. My first big event, I was shaking so bad I couldn't even see the other board. And now I never get nervous at all anymore. So, I mean, traveling and playing these events and like how many opens we've played now, how many provincial / conferences, how many regionals. I mean, you've probably played 100 tournaments now. Last season, you played 2 regionals a month.
Yeah.
I mean, you've probably played close to 100 cornhole tournaments. It's pretty hard to get nervous now.
Yeah, I don't really feel those nerves anymore. Even sometimes, I'm not going to say I never do. Once in a while I do, and what, I just literally just call a timeout, walk down there, take a sec, get your breath, whatever. Well, maybe some other players don't have that experience, or they're not thinking about doing that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, finishing up the season here. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good event out here in St. John's this weekend.
Yeah, so for singles, I'm gonna go with Andrew Spencer to take it away from Dion. I'm gonna predict the upset. I'm gonna go Geoff Walsh in third.
I'm never gonna bet against Dion.
Yeah, I know it's tough. I'm gonna do it.
I would take Dion. I do believe Andrew Spencer is definitely going to be on a podium there. But I'm going to go off the board a little bit. I'm going to say someone gets on a heater. I'm going to go with my boy Corey James there.
There you go.
Getting on there. So come on, Corey, don't make me look bad here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I got a soft spot for Geoff Walsh. Obviously, we're twin Jeff W's, so there's not too many Geoff with a G's
I like
around.
Geoff. Jeff's a good guy, man.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
I had to we played against each other in the pro qualifier in Drummondville. I had to board my last bag for the win, and I front boarded it, and he won on the next round. So that was a great moment for me.
Sounds like it. Sounds fun.
Almost as bad as Dave Dean in Paris. Oh!
I think I played Geoff in Niagara.
How'd it go?
I don't remember.
Was it before or after?
No, it was after. It was all taped up. All just not conscious, really.
so probably didn't go that good then.
I don't remember. I won some games that night, but I don't remember who I beat or who I lost to. I really don't remember. I don't know.
I remember.
I'm pretty sure I did play them though.
I remember I was sitting at the director's table, and I think you were in the because it's a single elimination stack, right? So in case anyone doesn't know, the ACL programming has double elimination stack, but not single. So Matt prints out all the brackets for the stacks. He makes, I think, about 23 different events, and then him and I do it with pen and paper.
Yeah.
And then he puts them into the events. So each stack is a brand new event. So if you're a pro and maybe you win one, then lose one, and lose one, you've gone into like a third or a fourth stack. I remember you came over and you're like, oh, and you were just sweating. Like, am I done? Am I done yet? We're like, no, you got one more stack. He's like, well, what fucking place is that for anyhow? We told you, and you're like, yeah, I'm done.
In the 20s, I think 24, 25 or something. I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
You're like, yeah, that's good enough. Yeah. Or forfeit that one. I'm out of here.
Yeah. That was not the best weekend for me for sure. So, but whatever, done over with.
Yeah. The old thumb took a flying right at the side of your hand, so that was great.
Yeah.
Somehow from throwing a beanbag. Suplex off the top ropes, no problem.
Yeah. Throwing a beanbag back to Paul Vanadam. Injury prone.
Yeah.
In warm-ups, not even in a game. Warming up. Perfect.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good event in Newfoundland. I think they played the Friday and the Saturday, and I'm going to be following along all weekend. They're an hour and a half ahead of us here in Ontario, so
yeah.
I don't think they get started to a bit later in the day to give them a chance to recuperate from the Friday night.
Got to find the rest of the players on George Street, so make sure they get to the building.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah, a bunch of them. Yeah, I'm gonna go with definitely Andrew. I think he's gonna have a good shot there. But like you said, can never discount
No.
Dion. He's just an absolute
one of the most
robot.
consistent players we've ever had in Canada.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, Derek messaged me. I think Derek messaged me Monday when he's back at work, and he said because I mean Derek had a great weekend, right? Won doubles, finished second to Dion in singles. But he said, low nines, not good enough against Dion.
Yeah. Well, that's how it goes sometimes.
What so you have that novice division. That how many spots did you make available in that at your regional?
So I just did for my morning session, which is intermediate and novice. I did 12 and 12.
Yeah, and you filled it up quick.
Yeah, quick. Like I could have easily probably got 4 or 5 more people easily. So.
And were these players that played intermediate, just played up in intermediate before,
It's
or
a
are
mix.
they player? Okay.
It's a mix. There's a couple that had played intermediate at my tournaments before. It's a couple people in leagues or in our league that hasn't really played a tournament, that's seen novice and want to give it a go. Or I think a couple of them maybe have played a novice event, maybe down at John Burr's, but haven't played many.
Right.
Yeah, so it's been good. It's definitely something that we're going to keep running going forward here. It's the best way to introduce these new players into the tournament field, right? You got to give them a competitive
100%.
game. So
100%.
So yeah, it's definitely going to be something that we continue to do here going forward.
Yeah, and I've done it at my Sudbury venue all season, and I'm gonna do it in the Sioux as well starting next season. Even if I only have one court, I run mine a bit different. I run the doubles all in the morning and then singles in the afternoon with a blind draw as well. I mean, I might even change that up a little bit and might have to get rid of the blind draw in some events to mix it up so I can include more players in more divisions. I also think that there is a big need for that division in between comp and open. So I mean that's something I want to dive into as well. I feel like sometimes we're missing those players or driving them away because they are too good for comp and they're not good enough yet for open. Where do they slot in?
Yeah, it's something that we talked about too with ours. Just maybe even with some sort of rotation. Maybe one time we can run an advanced division, or
there you go.
Sometimes it might not always get the numbers. I know a couple guys around here have tried to do it, and they just haven't got those advanced numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And before sometimes we weren't getting. You try to run novice before, and it wouldn't work either. So I think it's just kind of feeling out the process, out your tournaments, and talking to your players that are attending, and just seeing what they want. So I know, like for us, we'd heard that quite a few players wanted novice, so we gave it a go, and it's been great so far. This being our first one, but selling out. It's been sold out. It was sold out early or late last week. I know I just made the post today, but it's been sold out for a while. So
so my February regional in Sudbury, I had 15 novice and 10 in intermediate. They were definitely two of my bigger divisions.
Yeah, so like I've noticed for us, it's been comp has been lower than normal this season, for sure. in our open division, it was pretty good at the start, but starting to slow down. So it was just good timing and just knowing that like the players wanted novice.
Mm-hmm.
It was the perfect storm for us to try it. But now that I've done it and I've had further discussions with people, I just feel it's something that we need to keep doing. So
yeah, it's getting those players their first experience into competitive cornhole, and they're not just coming out and getting ran over because it's a division that they can compete in as new players.
yeah,
It's been super important to bringing those guys back to my events. I mean, I've had a lot of success with those players coming back and playing more. It's also a great division for the casual player. If there's someone that sees my ad on what to do in Sudbury and they want to come play cornhole, yeah, here's the division for you. I keep the admission low, and it's a great division for that introduction to competitive cornhole.
yeah, and gives the players a chance to win at their level before. Like the players that normally get into novice, a lot of the players are looking to grow their game as well. So
Yes.
give them a chance to play competitive tournaments before being able to be, asked to move up or to be, they outgrow that division or whatever. So I just think that novice is just such an important division, and I'm glad that we finally made the choice to get it going.
Yeah, no, that's good. Do you think? I mean, so right now, my those two divisions are a little bit lower for me. I have enough 2 weeks out for the events to happen, but I know I'll get some tricklers because it's mostly a lot of my league members in those divisions.
Yep.
But my comp division has been super strong all year long. But I've noticed in say Simcoe County, even the regionals that James Finley's running with Moondog, their comp division is low. There's a lot of intermediates, a lot of open. I mean, there is a lot of open players in that area as well, but it just seems like they have that gap between the comp and the open.
Yeah, it's weird. Like comparing it to down here, like the two directors I'm closest with would be Dirty Birds and John.
Yeah.
And it seemed like so far John gets a lot of the lower end novice intermediate players. He does well in comp too, but he wasn't getting so much in open.
Yeah.
And same for Dirty Birds, but we were getting our opens were running like 16 and 20 players, but we weren't getting comp players. I don't know. I guess it's just the players in your area and what they decide to do. Yeah, I know for us, like comp has been like, it's like 8 to 10 people, and that's been about max. Whereas, open sometimes, I think a couple of them we were at like 18, 19. I think I'm pretty sure with one we had 21 in open singles. So, yeah, I guess it just depends on maybe just sometimes it's just the weekend and maybe it's just the skill level in your area or at your club, or, it's all going to vary across not just Ontario, but across Canada in general. So, yeah, it's probably more, I see it more, those numbers more dictated to your area.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely my comp division is also super competitive within the whole division. I mean, the reason why I'm thinking so much about that advanced division, it doesn't affect a whole lot of my players. I have one player in particular who has won a bunch of times at the competitive level, and I asked him to play in my open division, and he went 0-2 both times, and he asked to go back down to competitive. And it's so tough for me because I want to protect the integrity of the competitive division, but at the same time, I want him to have a place to play. So it's just
that makes sense. I think a lot of people feel that. Like, I wish every regional I ran there was different winners, just so everyone gets it. But I think at the same time, like you said, though, he'd won a couple times. You have to ask him to play up. Just as it's can't keep running in the same division, have the same result, because then the rest of the division is frustrated, saying, "Well, we can never compete, or we can never have a chance to win." This guy just kind of.
That's right.
So yeah, again, it's like we had talked about before. I think it's conversations that just have to happen between player and director, and keep that line of communication open, and then, see where the chips lie. And sometimes it may be, yeah, we have a little bit of a stronger field here. Maybe it makes sense for you to go try down, but sometimes maybe if the field's a little weaker, you say, nah, it just doesn't work. I need you to, I'd prefer if you played up. So I think it's just keeping the lines of communication open between director and player, like we've talked about many times before.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a good point, and I think the difference between my regional intermediate division and my competitive division, like the top of intermediate would slot into competitive no problem, where the top of competitive definitely has a hard time slotting into open. There's a huge gap in between these players, and I'm not saying a huge gap in between the bottom of open, but somewhere in the middle of open. It's just like statistically, over a point per game. So it's just, I think that if I could have enough, I would need some of my open players that wouldn't mind playing advanced as well, though. And some of my players that play up, they want to play advanced because they want a challenge and they want to try to beat the best players that are at that tournament at any given time, right?
Yeah, again, I think it's just, we talk about it a lot, it's just finding, it doesn't matter the skill level, it's finding and creating competitive play for all levels of play. Yeah. And I think that should be the goal of every director, is to find competitive levels of play for everybody. And like I just said, sometimes, it may make sense for a player to play up, but sometimes it may make sense for that player to play in a certain division too. So I think, again, the best thing that players can do and directors can do is just have those conversations with the players, keep the lines of communication open so that, everyone that comes out to the event can have a good time and play competitive games.
Yeah, and then you get players playing, all the time and starting the season in lower divisions and then getting wins right through. I mean, a prime example is, a guy from your league, Ben. How many wins does Ben have this season?
I don't know. Started from novice.
Novice, intermediate, and comp wins, right?
I think, he might have a win or two, and I don't know if he's got a win in comp singles. But he definitely has a win in comp doubles. He might have a win in comp singles too.
I think he does.
Does he?
Yeah.
I know he lost in the finals of my last event. He lost to all-skill Jerry McGill.
Oh, did he?
But yeah, Ben plays a lot, but Ben's a prime example of what we just talked about. Ben was a novice player. He wants to get better, so he's going to work himself up in those divisions, but he started in the right spot in novice, but he's also accepting the challenge of moving up divisions. He's a guy that's going to end up moving up 2 divisions this season. Now he's gone from novice and is now playing in comp. So he's accepted the challenge, and he's accepted, hey, this is where I belong, and he continues to work and try to play good cornhole and, develop his game. So, yeah, Ben's a good example of that. And like I said, Ben started from the bottom, and he's just worked his way.
I thought you were going to quote Drake there.
No.
But that's also another example of those, and I think the more novice we've seen more of this, right? Guys starting a novice, they've done well. Now they've bumped up to intermediate. Now maybe they're getting into comp. But all these open players have still been playing open this whole time, and they're still getting better and better and better. Yeah. And so this guy is going to age out or skill out of comp, and there's going to be a huge gap between him and the open division. I think that's when we're going to see the real need to have that 5th division to just kind of give you that bit of a, it'll be the best players of comp and the worst players of advanced melded together, or worst players of open together in one division, a competitive division where they can keep growing their game against that skill of player until they're, ready for open.
Yeah, I think what some people have to realize is that anytime that you're asked to go up, it doesn't matter if we're talking about cornhole, it could be hockey, it could be slow pitch, it could be whatever.
Yeah.
There's going to be a learning curve,
Yes,
and
100%.
and there's a new understanding of how to play the game. So, for example, maybe a novice is the most important part of novice is just hitting the board.
Yes.
Then you get into intermediate. I'm not saying this is how it is, but you get into intermediate, and the most important part is running the bag in the hole, being able to throw some bags in the hole. But then you get to comp, and it's like, I got to stop people from getting the bag in the hole. Now you learn how to block.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, the players got to develop, but the players also have that understanding that, like, we can't just leave you in a division and let you win every regional event you play in, because that's what you deserve. It's just not fair to the rest of the program.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, for a long time, I was, a firm believer. Sometimes players would complain about getting bumped, and it's just like, okay, well, suck it up. You've won 2-3 times. Time to move on to the next one. And they just, sometimes perhaps they feel they should be able to win every time. But I also think that we're failing them a little bit in between those two, just because the gap is getting so much wider that it could not be fun anymore. It's one thing to bump up a division and have competitive games and lose and know that you belong in that division, but you're just, at the bottom end of that division right now, and you'll be able to work your way up it eventually. But also to not feel like you belong at all because you're losing so bad, but you also don't belong here. It's just I think we're going to see more of that. And that's the natural progression. Our best players are going to keep getting better. And then, the players learning the game and continuing to grow their skills are going to have somewhere to go before they get to that level.
Well, realistically, too, some players are just going to cap out on their skill level.
100%.
Not every player is going to develop from a novice into an open player. Some people are going to cap out at intermediate. Some are going to be comp. Some are going to be advanced. So I think as we grow the game, that separation and that division is where we're going to grow. When we first started, you might have only needed 2 divisions.
Yeah, 100%.
And, like a lot of some of the first tournaments I went to was kind of like tier 1, tier 2 was kind of like there's an open division, and then there's kind of like comp intermediate. It's kind of murky, and it's like a tier 2 kind of thing. And and then we developed, and then it was like, we need to have intermediate comp. And now we've seen strongly this year from a lot of the directors, like, no, we need a novice division.
Yeah.
So now you've seen novice, and I just think that the advanced division just hasn't clicked yet. I do think exactly what you're saying. I think that's where we're going to go. And there may be players that have played open for a long time that say, you know what, like, my game isn't growing at the level that some others are. Like,
that's right.
I no longer need to. I can't compete here anymore, and it's no longer fun. So I need that advance. Just as much as there's the ones coming up from comp that their game is still growing, but not yet to open, like you've suggested. So I think that division will develop as we go here.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be fine with that.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking to see where that takes us next season. I think this year was a huge year for the novice division right across the province. A lot more directors offered it this year than last. I think maybe last year only John offered it and had low turnouts, right?
Yeah.
And I think this year, we're a handful or more offering it. And it'll just, as more new players keep playing, they're going to see the benefits of having that division.
Yeah. Let's take time to grow and develop that division, just like it did with novice. I mean, novice didn't come out flying when people started offering. The real reason is no one was offering is because no one wanted to play it. Right?
That's right.
If there was a demand for it, we would have offered it. So novice has really kicked off this year. Who's to say maybe next year is going to be advanced that really picks up steam and becomes really operational for regional directors and directors across the board to be able to run that division.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Well, we'll check in next week. We'll go over the results from this weekend in Newfoundland. April will be a busy month. We got preview shows for the provincial event for ACL Quebec, as well as I talked to Vincent Trudel from the ACQ yesterday on the phone. He's going to get me some of the top teams there. It's going to for the ACQ event. Right now they got 218 doubles teams signed up.
Cool.
And I think 240 singles or something.
That's crazy.
So they're playing on 60 courts. Yeah, it's super busy.
Yeah. I do not want to be the director of that.
Yeah, I know. So they have a, they do things a bit differently than the ACL does, and
With
a lot of it
spread out bracket kind of thing.
Yeah, they spread it out a bit. So we'll go over some of the big teams there, but we'll start with the ACL one first. It's first up on the docket, so then we'll get into the ACQ one. All the Canadian pros will be at the ACQ. I'm not sure if Carl and Guillaume will make it to the ACL one. It's pretty far from Saguenay, I think. But we will see. I'll reach out to Daniel this week, see if we can get a teams list, see if they're running a juniors event, and we'll talk next week.
All right, sounds good.
All right, man. Have a good one.
See you, everyone.